Good evening, everybody. Welcome in to The Point. Hope you're doing well. It is Monday, September 9th, here tonight to recap the beginning of week one in the NFL season. We still have a Monday night game tonight in the Bay Area where Aaron Rodgers will make his return for the New York Jets against the San Francisco 49ers, which should be a great game. Can't wait to watch that one in just a couple hours. And we will dissect that one on Wednesday night. So gear up for that. But this evening, we're talking a lot of football. If you don't like football, probably not the podcast for you. A lot of football today. We'll get back to talking about other things on Wednesday, including baseball, which is coming down to the wire for playoff races, amongst other things that we will dive into. But we had an interesting week one. Some really bad offense being played. You had some interesting outcomes yesterday. We'll talk about the betting lines that went down. So we have a lot to dissect, a lot to talk about today. And let's start with the team that makes all the news, but also the team that looked really good yesterday, and that's the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys went into Cleveland as a 2.5-point underdog, don't know how, and decimated the Cleveland Browns. Defense had 5 sacks, 2 turnovers, 22 pressures, and Dak and the offense did enough, in the first half anyway, to play well. They also got a punt return for a touchdown. So the Cowboys dominated every facet of the game yesterday in Cleveland. Couple things from this game. Cowboys are a good team. I still don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but I think they're a good team. Dak's a very good quarterback. He was second in MVP voting last year behind Lamar Jackson. He has all the talent in the world. CeeDee Lamb is right there with Justin Jefferson as the best wide receiver in football. He's special. He can do everything, every route. He's the best player on the Cowboys offense. He's better than the quarterback, if you ask me. But they showed that. They played really well. They were efficient. And that was impressive, no doubt about it. They controlled the game. They did what they wanted. The offensive line for the Cowboys, that was kind of a question mark going in, really had themselves a good day. Myles Garrett did not affect the game. A couple sacks for the defense for Cleveland, but overall, in the passing game, they couldn't do much. Denzel Ward had a tough day going up against CeeDee Lamb. And ultimately, if we're just looking at numbers for Dak Prescott, yesterday he went 19 for 32, $179, 1 touchdown. He didn't have to do more than that because the game was over. The Cowboys actually ran the ball semi-efficiently. Dak ran the ball 10 times for 40 yards. That's about what you're going to get from him. He also had a rushing touchdown. CeeDee Lamb ran the ball 3 times for 25 yards. That's 8 yards a clip. That'll work. You saw Deuce Vaughn come in the game. Brandon Cooks got a rushing attempt. But the game was never close. The game was over at halftime. And the fact that Cleveland was playing as hard as they did until the end of the game was kind of more embarrassing to me, having Deshaun Watson out there until the very end, taking big hits in that final drive, I might add. For Dallas, if they can play this brand of football, complimentary, really good defense where Micah Parsons is one of the best defensive players in football. I can't say he's the best because TJ Watt exists, and TJ Watt's pretty damn good too. And we'll talk about that win for the Steelers in Hotlanta. But Parsons is a difference maker. DeMarcus Lawrence on the other side is a very good player. Trayvon Diggs got an interception yesterday. They looked very competent. They looked extremely dialed in, ready to play. Hours before kickoff, Dak Prescott got his extension. 4 years, $240 million. Became the highest paid player in league history. The highest signing bonus in league history. Why Dallas leaves these up to the last possible second is beyond me. But it sure looks like Dak's going to play his entire career with the Cowboys, which is special for him, I'm sure, special for the organization. We'll talk about playoffs if and when we get there, but just evaluating the first week, Dallas looks like a team that can do some damage. Dallas looks like a team that can be threatening. And if your offensive line is not ready to play, you're going to get your ass kicked against the Cowboys. Mike Zimmer and that defense are going to come at you, and you're going to have a hard day at the office if you are a subpar offensive line, which is what Cleveland's was yesterday. But the bigger thing to me is Cleveland lost. Okay. To me, it was one of the easier bets of the week to take Dallas plus the points. I never thought going into that game that Cleveland was ever going to win it. Ever. To me, it was a lock. In a survivor pool, I would have went with the Cowboys. If you don't think they're going to have a great season, take them in week one, save the better teams that you like. Save the Chiefs, save these other teams. I was in a survivor pool. I took the Bears, risky bet, but it paid off. But Dallas was an easy choice because I don't trust Cleveland. And despite the fact that their offensive line was a complete disaster yesterday, their quarterback, Deshaun Watson, is a disaster in every facet of the word. Disaster. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing. He holds the ball too long. He throws the ball down the field, overthrows them, takes huge unnecessary hits. He doesn't look set. He doesn't look ready. If you look at his stats yesterday, 24 for 45, 169, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, sacked 6 times, and ran 5 times for 39 yards. That's horrible. He had some drops. Njoku dropped a pass. Judy dropped a pass. Amari Cooper dropped a big play at the end of the first half. But he doesn't look competent. He doesn't look like a starting quarterback in the NFL. And I think the team around him is pretty damn good. They can hang. To think the Steelers are in first place in the AFC North after week 1. Ravens, Browns, Bengals all lose. And the Browns were a favorite, and they get skunked at home, basically, and they get booed off the field. It's embarrassing. They owe this guy so much money. They can't get rid of him. They're stuck with him. He doesn't seem to be getting better. To look at his contract coming up, Deshaun Watson. And I hate him personally, but he sucks. This isn't just me being hard on him. Let's see, 2025, $46 million. 2026, $46 million. If they were to cut him, which they cannot do, for next year, say they just want to cut him, get rid of him, it'd be $172 million in dead cap money, which means you can't. You say, why is that? Signing bonus. He's got a $72 million cap hit next year. $72 million. 2026, what would the dead cap number be? $99,835. Almost $100 million. Dead cap 2027, $26,900. They're stuck with that. And ownership can only look themselves in the mirror and go, we fucked up. They chose to trade for this guy in Houston, all the problems. He wasn't playing that well in Houston, by the way. And they go, yeah, we'll take him. We don't care. We've had no good quarterbacks for 100 years. We'll take Deshaun. This team would be better off with Joe Flacco again, because at least Joe Flacco, you know what you're going to get. I have no doubt in my mind that in the next couple weeks, where Cleveland's going to play some shitty teams, he's going to look great. And people will buy in, and the Browns will be back, and the Browns are threatening, because they got at the Jaguars next week. That's not a gimme win. It's a road game. But the Jaguars know how to blow a game. We'll talk about them later. They know how to throw games away. They did it to the Dolphins yesterday. Covered the number, cha-ching, but they blew the game, blew a win. Could cost them the division title down the road. Then the Browns, the New York Football Giants, who would have been the worst team in the NFL yesterday, but the Carolina Panthers exist. 29th of September, I'm at this game at the Raiders. The Raiders looked competent yesterday. Commanders, who I think will get better, but did not look good yesterday. That's their first month. That's not tough. That's really easy. That game that my family and I will be at, that'll be a Browns home game with the Raiders. There'll be a lot of Browns fans there. Getting the hell out of Cleveland, shitty weather. Go to Vegas, couple of futures bets, not on the Browns to win the Super Bowl, hopefully, if they know what they're doing, but something to do. I heard Dan Orlovsky say this today, and I don't think he's crazy. The Browns should consider putting Jameis Winston in as their starting quarterback next week. He can't be worse. He will throw interceptions. He will turn the ball over. But at least he'll take a shot down the field. At least he'll give you something. Jameis Winston had a 30-touchdown, 30-interception season. That's really hard to do, to throw that many interceptions. But he's got a big arm. He's got too much confidence for his own good. But this Browns team's going to self-destruct with him as the quarterback. Because he took some hits yesterday. Some hits. And when he's not taking hits, his play just sucks. Point blank. So they got to figure that out. They got to catch passes for him. I don't think they'll bench him after week 1. Matter of fact, I know they won't. Because they have so much money tied up in him. And you saw Kevin Stefanski giving him a pep talk at the end of the game. Because he has no choice. That's his only option. Is to go, I'm coaching this team. You're getting paid all this money. Please do well for me. Please play better. I don't think he will. For Dallas, should Dak be the highest paid player in the league? No. But should Jordan Love be the second highest paid player in the league? No. Contracts are not about, it's not, okay, you're the best, you make the most money. That is the world that we want, but it's a dystopian one. That's not real. That's not the way the world works. There are people working jobs right now that aren't worth a baker's fuck who get paid a ton of money. And they're shitty at their job, but they found a way to get in this position, and they make a lot of money. Jordan Love, not better than Mahomes. Jordan Love, not better than Josh Allen. Dak Prescott, not better than those two guys. I don't think Dak's a top 5. He's in the top 10. Dak, so far, body of work. Is he better than Jordan Love? Jordan Love beat him head-to-head to playoff game. But what I would say to Cowboys fans or just people at large, you're not getting a better quarterback than him. He was second in MVP voting last year. He was really good. That team's won 12 games, 3 straight years. Not easy to do. He doesn't win in the playoffs. Neither does Josh Allen. Neither does Lamar Jackson. There are more players in the league that don't win in the playoffs than those that do. Joe Burrow does when he gets there, but it's hard for him to make the playoffs. So how much he's paid, really irrelevant. because he was always going to be the next highest paid guy because he was the one that was up. Baker Mayfield was the outlier that took less because I think he values Tampa, he values being there, values continuity, and just went, you know what? I'll take $30 million a year because I know I'm not as good as these other guys. And that's okay. He clearly was happy. He's one of the best players in the league yesterday, quite frankly. But that's how I would view it. Is this is just the way it's going to work. This is just the way that stuff goes down. Because he was the next one up. Should he be paid that much? No. Absolutely no. But is he going to be paid that much? Yes. Because that's just the way it works. Let's talk about Miami-Jacksonville. Miami-Jacksonville, what a game that was. Well, it started before the game where I'm getting ready to watch Countdown, having a great old day, football starting. It's my birthday, great. And then I see that Tyreek Hill was arrested on the way to Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. Tyreek Hill was reportedly speeding, pulled over, but then ended up handcuffed on the ground. Now, this is a tough one to chat about because I don't know the context. In my life, I haven't gotten a ticket yet. Knock on wood. So I don't know what it's like to really be pulled over when you're caught speeding and how those conversations go. I think my approach, if I was speeding and the cop knows it, it's hard to say that you weren't. So you kind of have to take it on the chin. Now, I'm not Tyreek Hill. I'm not driving I think he was driving a Lambo at the time. Beautiful Miami, the 305. And somehow he ended up on the ground. I find that a big leap. I'm curious to hear more reporting. I know Jeff Darlington of the Mothership was talking about it today. And I'm going to pull up his Twitter just to get the latest because he's a great reporter. He was reporting on Scotty Scheffler getting arrested. So this is Jeff Darlington. This is the latest as of this afternoon. Per sources, Tyreek Hill received 2 citations as a result of his traffic stop Sunday. Careless driving and a seatbelt violation. Calais Campbell, who said after the game police told him they briefly placed him in handcuffs for disobeying a direct order, did not end up receiving a citation. The Miami-Dade Police Department told me this morning that it remains an internal investigation, so they cannot yet provide the details into what led to the citation for careless driving or why Hill was detained face down on the ground in handcuffs. One of the officers on the scene remains on administrative duty. So, still something to be decided. Sounds a bit fishy to me. Little column A, little column B. That's normally how life works. Could I see Tyreek Hill losing his cool a little bit? Absolutely. Could I see a cop messing up? Sure. Although I think police officers are 90 to 95% of the time correct in the way that they handle their business. I'm not one of those people that are against the police. But Tyreek Hill, on the ground, handcuffs, and gets to the stadium and plays. He ends up 8 catches, 113 yards, 80-yard touchdown. So he had a good day. If you had him in fantasy, you're probably happy Tyreek Hill showed up. But here's the tail of the tape. I'm keeping an eye on this game as I do every game. Dolphins in the first half were horrible. 2 fourth down attempts, failed them both. They're not getting great separation minus Tyreek Hill. And when Tyreek Hill is open, Tua's overthrowing him. He missed him about 3 times in the first half. Tyreek could have had 200 yards receiving yesterday. I blame Tua for him not. And Jaguars are playing efficient. Jaguars are playing smart football. Trevor's having an okay day, but he doesn't have to play that well because the Dolphins just can't score on offense. It's 17-3, under 2 minutes to go in the third quarter. Travis Etienne Jr. gets the football. He breaks the line. He's going in for a touchdown when Canadian All-Pro safety Javon Holland punches the ball out. Ball rolls into the end zone, recovered by Miami. That was the turning point of the game. It flipped everything. Because the next play, Tua throws an 80-yard touchdown bomb to Tyreek. Momentum back in the building. People in the crowd are into it. They're excited. There's a good feeling in Miami right now. The U is back. They're going to be top 10 ranked this week. The Dolphins, good back-to-back playoff seasons. And all of a sudden you look up and go, holy shit, it's 17-10. And before we know it, Jaguars 4-out. Jaguars can't get anything going. Dolphins get back on offense. Jason Sanders, field goal, tie ball game. And then with 4 seconds left, Jason Sanders from 52 yards, right down the middle, and the Dolphins walk off the Jags. 1-0, but the game ball should go to Javon Holland. If that score is 24-7, it's over. Over. They're not coming back from that. But he kept it within striking distance. He kept them having some hope, and they found a way to win. Credit to Mike McDaniel and that team for finding the strength and finding the ability to do it. Because other teams would have fell apart, but they never gave up. But for Jacksonville, this is why you look at them and go, this team's never going to get over the hump. This team's never going to find success. They have the game gift wrapped on the road to start the season, and they lose it. It's in Travis Etienne's hands, and it rolls into the end zone. And all of a sudden, the Jags are 0-1, and the Dolphins are 1-0. Trevor Lawrence did not play well yesterday. And many quarterbacks did not, to be fair. It's harder to find quarterbacks that did. Trevor Lawrence, 12 for 21, $162, sacked 3 times. They ran the ball well. Tank Bigsby ran for 6.5 yards a clip. Etienne, 3.7 yards a clip with a fumble. Christian Kirk had 1 catch. 1 catch yesterday. Gabe Davis, Evan Ingram, who was great in the preseason, 1 catch. The passing attack had no life. It was not threatening. Trevor was not pushing the ball down the field. Held the ball a little bit. Making the playoffs in that first year, they have not been a team that you should be threatened by. Stupid mistake after stupid mistake. Bad coaching from Doug Peterson. Bad quarterback play. A turnover at the worst possible time. They gave Miami should be 0-1, and they should be panicked because they got to play Buffalo on Thursday night. And I'm not saying they can't win that game, but they normally don't. They normally don't beat the Bills the last couple years. So you're looking at it going, we got a tough-ass schedule in the second half, and we're 0-2 to start the season. We got to climb out of this. They let them off the hook. They gave the Dolphins the game. It can't happen that way. Complete disaster for the Cleveland Browns. So for the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Cleveland Browns. Different ways, and they play each other next week. Go figure. But credit to the fish, credit to the Finns. Doesn't matter how you win the game, as long as you win the game, and they did. They still have holes on that team, and I still think they have a lot to figure out, how everything's going to work. But Waddle, Tyreek, Achane looks awesome, looks fast. That can work on offense. And their defense, to their credit, Jalen Phillips tore his Achilles twice in college. Tore his ACL twice in college. Tore his Achilles last year. Sack and a half yesterday. He was told in college he would never play football again. He fought his way into playing. Played at the U. Now playing for the Dolphins. An elite pass rusher. No Christian Wilkins. He's in Vegas. No Bradley Chubb. He's on the physically unable to perform list. Doesn't matter. No Andrew Van Ginkel. He's scoring a touchdown for the Vikings. They found a way. Will it work for the entire season? I doubt it. But I give credit where credit's due on a given week. I can only evaluate one game. Dolphins played hard for all 60 minutes. Can't ask for more than that. Let's go into the worst loss of the weekend. It's not Carolina, even though they are very much up there, and I took Carolina plus the points. Not close to me. It's the Cincinnati Bengals losing at home to the New England Patriots. Now, the Patriots don't have Bill Belichick as head coach. He's on the Manning cast and doing media stuff and making a bunch of money. He's not coaching the Patriots anymore. It's not Tom Brady at quarterback because he's calling games for Fox poorly. Just a brief pit stop. His first game, he was rough. I was out with friends, well, basically family, yesterday, and they were nice enough to have me over for my birthday. Great day. Loved it. And I listened to games because when I'm by myself, 95% of the time I'm watching a game or games on mute. I got to hear 90% of that Brady call. It was his first one. I'm going to give him some time. I do think he's going to get better. But I thought his call yesterday, a lot of pauses, a lot of just seemed a little awkward. But I don't think one performance defines you. I think he'll get better as the weeks go on, as he gets more reps, learns how Kevin Burkhardt does it. And Kevin Burkhardt is awesome in the booth. So, again, one game, one call, he will get better. It was not great yesterday, if we're just being honest. But his former team went into Cincinnati and beat the Bengals. 16-10. 16-10. Let's go over this. This is something else. Third down yesterday, Cincinnati Bengals. 4 for 11. Fourth down, 0 for 1. 70 rushing yards. 154 passing yards, 224 total yards, 1 sack, and they lost 2 fumbles. Oh, and they only had the ball for 25 minutes and 57 seconds of the game. Patriots had it for 10 minutes longer than they did. So, less first downs, worse on third down, 100 less rushing yards. They had 30 more passing yards. Congrats. 2 less sacks. And they lost 2 more fumbles than the Patriots. And they didn't have the ball for the whole game. Great. Patriots know who they are. That's what I'm going to give them credit for after one game. They know that they're not a very talented team. They know that Jacoby Brissett has to get the ball out of his hands quick. And they know they need to run the football. Ramondre Stevenson ran 25 times yesterday for 120 yards. 5 yards a clip. He also had a rushing touchdown. Jacoby Brissett, who his own head coach said is probably the slowest African-American in the league, Jacoby Brissett, ran 7 times for 32 yards, 4.6 a clip, including a 16-yard scramble. They ran the ball great. Brissett was 15 for 24, $121. Not a whole lot of threat there. Not taking a lot of chances. But hey, their leading receiver is Austin Hooper, who's a backup tight end. 2 catches for 31 yards. But hey, got to do what you got to do. The Bengals... Last season, Joe Burrow in the opener, he threw for 87 yards against the Browns. But it was in horrible weather. This was in Cincinnati. Sunny day, nothing happening. He just sucked. Point blank. He couldn't do it. To start the season, the Bengals do not come out ready to play. For whatever reason. This is a continual thing. 7.5 point favorite. They lose the game outright at home against the Patriots. They ran the ball pretty well. Zach Moss, 9 for 44. Burrow, 4 for 15. Chase Brown, 3 for 11. Should have ran the ball more, quite honestly. Jamar Chase, 6 for 62. Still no contract. That's still awkward. He wasn't out there on every play. They didn't have any juice. They didn't feel like they were ready to play. They were not the more physical team. Patriots punched them in the mouth a few times. Short yardage plays. The Patriots were winning against the Bengals' offensive line. But it's on Joe Burrow, too. He didn't have anything going. No emphasis. No pressure. No zip on the ball. It was a deflating thing to see for the Cincinnati Bengals. You're in one of the toughest divisions in football, and you start your season with a gimme opponent in the Patriots. A gimme opponent. And I think a lot of people had the Bengals in their survivor pool. Because you go, oh, Patriots, they stink, which they do, by the way. Patriots are not going to, this doesn't mean Patriots are going to have a great season. Because they won this game. But for the Bengals, catching up every year is not always the best option. They rarely win their division. When they made the Super Bowl, they had to go through. They had to get through Kansas, win on the road. They make everything more difficult. They missed the playoffs last year. Zach Taylor's got to have those players ready to play. He has to have a scheme that's going to work. Yesterday was just nothing. No emphasis, no momentum. It was just a game that they played. But the Patriots played it like they wanted to be there. The Patriots played like, hey, we're going to go into Cincinnati and pull off this upset, which they did. Good for Gerard Mayo. First game as a head coach. Gets the victory as a major underdog in Cincinnati. I'm not down on the Bengals completely, but it's just such... It's a game you have to win. I think there's other teams yesterday that didn't play all that well, but they were playing inferior opponents and they won the game. Seattle didn't play that well, but they beat the Broncos. The Bills had their ups and downs against Arizona, but they found a way in the end to win the game. Houston finds a way to win a divisional game against the Indianapolis Colts. Didn't cover, but they won. That's kind of what I'm talking about. Where Cincinnati, no juice, nothing. 2 o'clock start, you're like, okay, well, there's a loss. Because they were truly dreadful. Dreadful in that game. And now the Bengals, you start the season with a shit sandwich, and they go to Arrowhead next weekend. And despite the fact that they played really well against the Chiefs, like really well, that's not the way you want to start your season. You lose a game like that, then you have to go play Kansas City, who's coming off more rest than you. The defending champions, the best player in the sport. That's not fun. Bengals at Chiefs, Commanders, at Carolina, Ravens, Giants. So they have a tough game every second week, basically, to start their season. Browns, Eagles, Raiders, Ravens, Chargers. Play the Cowboys later in the season. It was just so disappointing to see a team with nothing. No fight, no hunger to play, no excitement. Just a truly dreadful performance from the Cincinnati Bengals. I want to talk about the Steelers. First off, Russell Wilson did not play. Calf injury, they said he could have played, but they didn't want to rush it like what happened with Joe Burrow last year. So you're going to sit out. We got a good quarterback behind you in Justin Fields. We're going to go to Atlanta, see what we can do. Like many games in week one, the Steelers did not win this game because of their offense. I thought offensively the Steelers were predictable. They ran the ball, which you expect them to do. Najee Harris, 20 for 70 yards. Justin Fields, 14 carries for 57. Cordero Patterson, 4 for 13. Jalen Warren hardly touched the ball in this game. But they ran the football with the dual threat. Pickens had 6 catches for 85 yards, which is what you want to see from him. He's their best receiver. He had a good game. Freiermuth caught a couple passes, but no receiving touchdowns. They were adequate on offense. Not threatening at all, but they stuck to their game plan. And they just... Kirk Cousins, who's coming off a torn Achilles, looked horrible. 16 for 26, $155, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, and was sacked twice. But they were running at him the whole game. Player of the game, bar none, not close, was TJ Watt. TJ Watt, 2 tackles, 1 assisted, a sack, but his impact was more. He also had a fumble recovery. He was everywhere, doing everything. AFC Defensive Player of the Week for me. But that defense, with Minkah Fitzpatrick making good plays in the secondary, Cam Hayward, TJ Watt, Adams, they got after Kirk Cousins. He didn't have time to create plays. And you look up, Bijan had 5 catches, which was the most of the running back. Drake London had 2 catches for 15 yards. Kyle Pitts, 3 for 26 and a touchdown. Actually, not a bad day for Kyle Pitts in his career so far. Ray McLeod, the punt returner, former member of the Steelers, had 4 catches for 52 yards, which was actually the most receiving yards on the team. That's not good to see. Bijan, 18 carries for 68. They kept him in check. Tyler Algier only had 3 carries for 21. Why he didn't get more carries, beyond me. This is who the Steelers are going to be with Russell Wilson or with Justin Fields. 18 to 24 points. Do your best to not turn the ball over, which they did a solid job at. Fields lost a fumble, but he managed. They didn't have a turnover in the game. Don't turn the ball over. Be efficient. Run the football. Create some turnovers on the other side. Create havoc for the quarterback. And win the game by a small margin. And the Steelers did. 18 to 10, they go into Atlanta. Raheem Morris's first game as head coach. Kirk Cousins' first game as a new, and the Falcons looked just like they had nothing going on. Like they weren't a threatening team. They got to be looking up going, what the hell just happened? We got ragdolled. But they only scored 10, I repeat, 10 points the entire game. Kirk Cousins, Fields, Daniel Jones, Trevor Lawrence, Burrow, Will Levis, Caleb Williams. Let's see. Justin Herbert. You'll get what I'm going with here in a minute. Bo Nix, Geno Smith, Jaden Daniels, Dak, Deshaun, all threw for under 200 yards yesterday. Every one of those quarterbacks I just named threw for under 200 yards. There was a lot of bad quarterback play yesterday. A lot of bad quarterback play around the league. I thought defenses were really good, but it also was quarterbacks and offenses just not being on the same page, not being dynamic, not being threatening. And the Falcons were one of them. Where you look up and what the hell just happened there? Who's getting the ball? Who's the emphasis? The Falcons could still win the division because I think their division is not that tough. And Tampa's got a really tough schedule, but I wanted to see more. Good on the Steelers and Mike Tomlin. Because they just find ways to win these games where you go, how? Why did that happen? But they find a way. I think it'll be Russell Wilson in week 2. I don't think Fields is good enough that you deviate from that plan. But I thought he ran the system efficiently. He stuck to the game plan. And he deserves credit for that. He didn't win them this game, but he didn't lose them the game either. And there's credit in that for him doing what he needed to do. So good on Justin Fields. And the Steelers. I mentioned Carolina. I'm going to talk about rookie quarterbacks here in a little bit. But Carolina, who I bet on, and it was stupid. And I told you guys to as well. So Carolina plus the points. They're playing the Saints, who are not a good team. But Carolina, I forgot how bad they were. I looked up and went, well, they can't be that bad. They'll be better this year, new head coach. No. First pass of the season for Bryce Young, intercepted. Second pass of the second half for Bryce Young, intercepted. 13 for 30, $161, 2 interceptions, sacked 4 times. That was his stat line in New Orleans at the Superdome when they got smoked 47-10. Derek Carr, 19 for 23, 200 yards, 3 passing touchdowns. No turnovers. Kamara, 15 for 83, turning back the clock. Jamal Williams had a rushing touchdown. Shaheed, touchdown. Fabian Moreau, touchdown. Juwan Johnson, touchdown. Saints won a game 47-10, and their best receiver, Chris Olave, had 2 catches for 11 yards. A lot of these interceptions are just Bryce Young mental errors. It's not receiver ran the wrong route or you got a hand on the ball. It's just him not seeing the field well. Whole off season to go over things, whole off season to get better, and you lose 47-10 in the opener. And Bryce looks as dreadful as he ever did in year 1. The Panthers gave up a ton for Caleb Williams. And Caleb Williams did not play well yesterday. And we're going to talk about the rookies in just a minute. But Caleb Williams, to me, will get better. I think Bryce Young, I don't think he's going to get any better. I don't think this guy is going to be a quarterback for a long time to come in the NFL. He's small. He doesn't see the field well. He takes hits and gets hurt. The roster is not great around him, but it's better than it was last year. And yet, Carolina playing the Chargers this week. Chargers love to run the football, run it down their throat. At the Raiders, Bengals, at the Bears, Caleb Williams, Bryce Young game. It doesn't matter who they're playing because they're dreadful. And I'm going to say this now, and I'll probably go against this, but they are on my do not bet list. Do not gamble on the Carolina Panthers because they stink. And you only want to take them because they're an underdog and they're going to get a ton of points. And it makes it intriguing, especially when they're playing the Saints, who I have no respect for, who play the Cowboys next week, and I expect them to get smoked by the Cowboys. Whether that's at home or I think it's in Dallas. Good for Derek Carr. Played well. Good for the Saints. But David Tepper, who's fired a coach in season the last 2 years, hired Dave Canales from Tampa. That debut couldn't have went much worse. That debut, I'm not saying he's going to get fired in season again, but this team's going to be looking for a new quarterback this offseason. Great chance this team is selecting high in the NFL draft with the Giants, with the Patriots, looking for elite talent, looking for guys that can just play. Whether it's Carson Beck or Quinn Ewers at Texas or Shedeur Sanders, it won't be. I just can't see it being Bryce Young starting next year because he simply just can't play. And yeah, I'll be going into year 3, but he hasn't had a great moment in his NFL career so far. And yesterday certainly was not one of them. Rookie quarterbacks. A lot of hype, a lot of chatter. Caleb Williams with the Bears, Bo Nix with the Denver Broncos, and Jaden Daniels in the nation's capital. I'm going to go through the list, 1 to 3 of who I thought played the best, looked the best. Number 1 to me, I'm going with Jaden Daniels, despite the fact that his team really got destroyed by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They lost 37-20. Baker, who's going to win NFC Player of the Week, was fantastic. But he went 17 for 24, $184, sacked twice, had 3 fumbles, but never lost the football. And had 2 rushing touchdowns. He also ran 16 times for 88 yards, and as I said, 2 rushing touchdowns. First observation, I like the fact that he can use his legs. He's dynamic, and that makes him special, and you love that. However, he takes way too many big hits. He needs to learn how to slide and protect himself better, or he's not going to last that long in the league. He took some hits yesterday that you would never want him taking. I like the fact that he's tough, but it's about survival. It's about playing another down and having a long career. Now, I like the RPOs in this offense. I want to see him establish a connection with Terry McLaurin. That's going to be his safety, just his blanket, his safety guy. I would say for the offensive coordinator, have some passes down the field. It was all checkdowns. It was all behind the line of scrimmage. I thought it was very safe. I understand, rookie quarterback, you're hoping for the best. Tampa's got an established defense. Jordan Whitehead was great. Winfield was great yesterday. I was like a few more chances, a few looks. Yes, Todd Bowles loves the blitz, all of that. But McLaurin can run routes. De'Ami Brown can run routes. Zach Ertz still can catch the football at an elder age. But Jaden Daniels is one for me because he showed me the most. Showed some positive signs in this game. Not close to winning. Takes too many hits. I don't think you can run 16 times as a quarterback consistently per game and expect to win. Just over time, I don't think it works. Lamar run a ton this week. You can't run that much moving forward. Quarterbacks can move. Steve Young moved. Steve Young also could throw the ball from the pocket and won Super Bowls with the 49ers. So you need both. But Jaden Daniels is one for me on the list. Number 2, Caleb Williams. Caleb was pretty dreadful. 14 for 29, 93 yards, sacked twice, 5 carries for 15 yards, 1 fumble, but did not lose the fumble. So, didn't have a connection with anybody. Lost Rome Odunze early in the game, who might miss some time for the Bears. he just was a little off. He seemed a little overwhelmed, would get rid of the ball quicker than he probably had to. He had Keenan Allen for would have been his first career touchdown pass, and he just overthrew him. But you saw the athleticism. You saw what he could do. I'll give him credit for this. I don't think he forced balls like the guy who will finish last in this metric. He saw the defense, and if it wasn't there, he would get rid of it in a safe area. And that's part of the reason why the Bears, and Caleb was the only rookie quarterback of the three to win his first start. Because the Bears, despite Velus Jones' fumble, didn't turn the ball over. Will Levis on the other side of the field threw for $127, so not a whole lot more than Caleb. Threw a touchdown pass, but also had 2 interceptions, was sacked 3 times, and he fumbled. So Will Levis had 3 turnovers just himself yesterday for the Titans. He threw an interception in the fourth quarter. He was going to go down for a sack, try to get rid of the ball. Stupid play. Ends up in the hands of Stevenson, the corner. House call, pick 6. And the Bears win the game 24-17. Never throw that football. The Bears' offense is completely dreadful. But because Caleb didn't turn the ball over, Will Levis did 3 times. Bears steal a game at home against the Titans that they should not have won. No way, no how, but they did. Tony Pollard looked great for the Titans, over 5 yards a carry. Touchdown. Why weren't they running the ball more? I don't know. Tajay Spears ran for 5.3, 4 for 21. Give him the ball. No. Stupid play calling. Bad quarterback play leads to a loss. So Caleb was safe, overwhelmed, but he wasn't stupid in this game, and I give him credit for that because it could have went a whole lot worse. And the Bears somehow won the game and kept me alive in a survivor pool. So thank you. Last on the rookie quarterback list here, Bo Nix. Bo Nix, 26 for 42, $138, 2 interceptions, sacked twice in his first start. Ran 5 times for 35 yards with a rushing touchdown. His interceptions were bad. He tried to force the ball, and he could have thrown 4 or 5 interceptions yesterday. Tried to force the ball into tight windows that were not there. Just ill-advised decisions. I thought he should have taken off and run more. There was opportunities for it. Peyton, I thought the game plan was a little bit weird. Look for McLaughlin, look for quick throws balls out of his hand quick like he did at Oregon, where he had all that success. So it's just a tad surprising, a tad weird how they devised that game plan. But he just forced stuff. He wasn't efficient. The Seahawks were horrible in this game. Seahawks won. They probably shouldn't have, but they did. Kenneth Walker found success in the second half. 20 carries, 103 yards, had a touchdown. He was great. Geno Smith also had a rushing touchdown in this game. So they ran the ball well. He threw a passing touchdown to Zach Charbonnet, the backup running back. The offensive line was dreadful. They had a couple injuries as well. But Seahawks survived. I think if Bo Nix played a C-plus game for the Broncos, they win. Because the Seahawks were all over the place. They couldn't find themselves. No rhythm till Kenneth Walker said, enough, give me the football. Disappointing game for the Broncos because they could have had a road win. They don't cover the spread. They don't get the win. Seahawks survive. I think Seahawks will get better. I'm curious to watch rookie quarterbacks moving forward. They'll all be starting every week. When do we see Drake May? That remains to be seen. But saw some good things, a lot of bad things from the rookies yesterday. I think they all will improve as the year goes on. Need those reps, need the experience. Credit to Sam Darnold. 19 for 24, 208, 2 touchdowns in his first start for the Vikings. They ran the ball well. He threw 2 touchdown passes. Efficient, good game plan. The Giants suck, but he also played well. Now I'm wondering who gets benched first? Bryce Young, Daniel Jones, or Deshaun Watson. That's the 3 for me that are on watch. Because I think it's still too early for Kirk Cousins. He'll get a long leash in Atlanta. But those 3 guys, Bryce Young in his second year on a really bad team, Daniel Jones making a ton of money but playing on a team that isn't very good, and he's also not a very good quarterback. Another 2 picks yesterday. Sacked 5 times. He's a turnover machine. He has been he threw a pick 6 to Andrew Van Ginkel, the former Dolphin. That's been the knock on him since he played at Duke. That's continued since he got into the NFL. Is his turnovers. And just stupid decisions with the football. I lean Daniel Jones, Tyrod Taylor behind him, and Tyrod Taylor's now with the Jets. Tommy DeVito and Drew Lock behind Daniel Jones. I think either guy's as good. Can play. Giants aren't going to win a lot. Either guy could play as good a football. Giants fans will be more excited to see Tommy DeVito than they will to see Daniel Jones play quarterback. So that might be something to consider. But those 3 are the first guys benched. That's the list. Bryce Young in Carolina, Daniel Jones with the Giants, Deshaun Watson in Cleveland. It's only 1 week, but oof. Jim Harbaugh wins his first game with the Chargers. 22-10. First half, I was concerned. First half was pretty dreadful. Offense was lethargic. Justin Herbert played pretty awful. And I go, okay, whoa. Second half, Justin Herbert didn't play a whole lot better. Finished with 144 passing yards for the game, touchdown. But they ran the football. J.K. Dobbins, 10 carries, $135 in his debut, including a 61-yarder. He also had a rushing touchdown. Ladd McConkey, rookie out of Georgia, caught a touchdown pass. They forced turnovers from the Raiders. Two turnovers to be exact. They sacked Minshew 4 times. Max Crosby did not have a huge impact on Joe Alt, their rookie tackle, was phenomenal. That second half, you saw what the Chargers are going to be. Physical team, identity, run the football. And to me, Justin Herbert's just going to be a game manager, which will probably be hard for him to accept early on, but that's who he's going to be. We've seen him be the gunslinger, be the 6th overall pick, awesome quarterback. It hasn't worked. I'm not saying he's going to throw for $150 every week, but if he throws for 200 and they win, that's a better solution. That's what Jim did with J.J. McCarthy at Michigan, and they won a national championship. So in that second half, I was impressed with the game that the Chargers came out with, and they whooped the Raiders. They put it on. They were physical. They were just a better team. Texans beat the Colts 29. Fun game. Stephon Diggs, first game with the Texans, 2 touchdowns. Nico Collins had a big day. Anthony Richardson can be special. He was 9 for 19, had 6 carries for 56 yards and a touchdown. Threw 2 passing touchdowns for 212 yards, including a huge bomb, 60-yarder to Alec Pierce, to a 54-yarder to Doolin. If he can find consistency, if he can just find a little bit of it in his game, then the Colts are threatening. Because I like a lot of their players. He's got a huge arm. We saw that yesterday. They hung tough against a good playoff team last year in the Texans. They covered the 2.5 points. So I think the Colts, they also get to play Green Bay this week without Jordan Love. So there's a benefit for the Colts. So they showed me something. That's a loss at home, but I think it's a good loss, where they competed the whole way through, and Anthony Richardson played the whole game, didn't get hurt, showed a lot of positive improvements in his overall game. So that was good stuff for me from the Colts yesterday. Bills edged the Cardinals 34-20. At one point, it was 17-3 Cardinals. Bills come all the way back. Josh Allen, 2 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns in the game. He just finds a way. He's got a messed up hand. Still fought through it. They'll play Thursday night against the Dolphins. He's been medically cleared to play. So that's all good. He was impressive yesterday. And they spread the ball around. Keon Coleman, second-round pick out of Florida State, 4 for 51. Shakir, 3 for 42 and a touchdown. James Cook, 3 for 32. Matt Collins, 2 for 25 and a touchdown. Dawson Knox, 1 for 23. Valdez-Scantling, 1 for 19. Kincaid, 1 catch, 11 yards. That's how they're going to play. They ran the football 26 times yesterday, the Bills. 23 passing it. I like that margin. It can't be 46-11, and they do that a lot, and it doesn't work. I like the balance. I'm curious to see if they can keep that balance up against good teams, because the Cardinals aren't. They play the Dolphins Thursday night on the road in Miami, short week. So we'll see. Bills over the next 5 weeks, at the Dolphins. Monday Night Football against the Jags at home. At Baltimore, Sunday Night Football. At Houston. At the Jets. That's a tough stretch. For the next 5 opponents, we're playoff teams. Jets in there. So, fun games upcoming for the Bills. That was one of the more entertaining games of the entire day, Cardinals and Bills. I thought Kyler Murray played pretty well too. Was horrible on that last drive. And Marvin Harrison Jr. only had 1 catch the whole day for 4 yards. That's got to be frustrating. That happened around the league. Rome Odunze had 1 catch yesterday. Rookie wideouts. They'll get better as the season goes on. Tonight, we got a game in San Francisco. Jets playing the 49ers. And It's a great game. Aaron Rodgers' first game back. You got Trent Williams, who's going to play all the snaps. Brandon Ayuk, who will be limited according to the team just because they don't want to re-aggravate an injury or because he hasn't had a whole lot of training camp time. So they have that to worry about. Tonight's interesting. Aaron hasn't played that well historically against the 49ers in the Bay Area. 6-7 in his career. Lost a couple playoff games there as well recently with the Packers. But I expect him to play well. I expect him to come ready to play. The Jets are a good team. The 49ers are a good team. I'm riding with the Jets tonight because other than Hassan Reddick, who will not play, which is a big loss, stupid trade looking back at it, they all were available in training camp. They all were ready. San Francisco's pretty much playing catch-up, where McCaffrey hardly was participated because he had an injury. Ayuk didn't. Trent Williams did not. And now you're hoping to play a football game 6 days after signing a new contract against the Jets, who have a pretty good pass rush and have a great secondary. I don't know if they can go in there and pull off the upset tonight, but I believe that they can keep the game close. I think Aaron's going to come out and play well. He's got a point to prove. Was out in 4 snaps last year. A lot of people are rooting against him again, and I somewhat get it because he is a polarizing figure. But I like the Jets plus 3.5 on the road to keep this game close and possibly win it. To put the town on alert and possibly get the win tonight. But I like them to cover at the very least against the 49ers. But an awesome Monday Night Football game to wrap up week 1. Awesome Monday Night Football game. Other NFL news. Week 1, there's injuries. You know what's happening. Friday night in that awful field in Sao Paulo. Loved the game. Hated the field. Jordan Love looked like he blew out his ACL in the second to last play. I thought he tore his ACL. His leg went one way, his knee went the other. Turns out it is not a torn ACL. It is a strained MCL. Initial diagnosis is a 3 to 6 week injury. So much better. Torn ACL, you're done for the year. And this was written an hour ago. Malik Willis, who the Packers traded for at the end of training camp, who's formerly with the Titans, will be the starting quarterback for the Green Bay Packers until Jordan Love returns from a knee injury, head coach Matt LaFleur announced Monday, according to Ryan Wood of USA Today. If Jordan is not cleared, then we'll start Malik, and Sean Clifford will be the backup. He also said, we'll never put him in position to mortgage the short term for the future, LaFleur told reporters. If he can't protect himself, we would never do that to him or our football team. LaFleur also denied rumors that Green Bay is interested in bringing another quarterback. It was reported Sunday that the franchise had reached out to veteran signal caller Ryan Tannehill, who is still available, who has been a starter, been in the playoffs. I don't think that the Packers traded for Malik Willis, so clearly they think something of him, but not ideal. The Rams played last night against the Lions. Fun game. Lions won it in overtime. Covered the 4.5. Very entertaining. 2 really good teams. You got a Rams offensive line that was beaten down. Avila left the game. Jonah Jackson was not available. So they kind of willed through it. Stafford was all beat up. During the game, Puka Nacua left with a knee injury. Didn't look good either. But he actually has a PCL sprain, according to Sean McVay. The injury is an aggravation of a knee ailment they sustained in the summer. The BYU product is still undergoing testing to determine the severity of the injury. He is out a minimum of 4 games. They put him on the injured reserve, so he'll miss minimum 4 games. It could be longer than that for Puka Nacua, but that's a big loss. Although Cooper Kupp did look great last night. First game back, all over the field, versatile threat. He finished 14 catches, 110 yards, a touchdown. He still got it, ran twice for 10 yards. I like the Rams. I do. They win the game last night if Stafford doesn't throw a horrible red zone interception. They have Tyler Johnson, who's interesting, played with Tampa Bay early in his career. He had a big 63-yard catch in the third quarter. Nacua, Kyron Williams, I like their team. Blake Corum when they want to use him. But the Lions found a way to win that one. But Puka Nacua out 4 weeks for them. The Browns have signed Kadarius Toney to their practice squad, the former New York Giant, the former Kansas City Chief. Won a couple of Super Bowls. He's now a member of the Browns looking for help. No huge injuries. David Njoku week to week after sustaining ankle injury. So that's a big loss. But no huge injuries in week 1. Nothing that will take stars out for the season. So that's a good thing. It wraps up tonight in the Bay Area with the Jets, San Francisco. Also this weekend, other things going on. U.S. Open. Arnia Sabalenka and Jannik Sinner this season won both the Australian Open and the U.S. Open. Both man and woman win both hard court majors. Sabalenka now has 3 majors in her career, 2 in Australia, 1 at the U.S. Open. Sinner now has 2 majors. Both these respective winners taking down Americans. Sabalenka beating Jessica Pegula in straight sets. Sinner beating Taylor Fritz in straight sets. Sabalenka is one of the best right now. You'll get Iga Swiatek. She only won 1 major this year, and she's won 4 of her 5 majors on a clay court. So she is limited in that sense. Sabalenka's only won majors on hard court, so she's still looking to kind of diversify, win one on the clay, win one on the grass. We look, Coco Gauff, very talented player, but super inconsistent, bad temper, can't really control her emotions all that well. So it's easy to say Sabalenka is the best player in the world right now. She's super consistent. Like Sinner, she won Cincinnati. So you have Sinner and Sabalenka both winning Cincinnati, then going into the U.S. Open, winning there. Sinner, on the other hand, I'm not happy he won. Got caught cheating. Shouldn't have been playing in the event, if you ask me. Simona Halep hasn't played in over 2 years for breaking the rules. She was the number 1 player in the world at one point. She beat Serena Williams at Wimbledon, and yet she can't play because she made a mistake. Sinner does it, and he's winning the U.S. Open, taking home the largest cash prize in the history of the event. That doesn't sit well with me. I feel bad for Fritz. I feel bad for TFO, all the players, Jack Draper, who Sinner had to play. I thought both tournaments were good. I thought it lacked a bit of juice. I like seeing upsets, but no Carlos, no Novak towards the tail end. Not ideal. Not ideal if we're just looking at universal appeal and people realizing each other's names and saying, oh, I know that player, I know who that is. I don't think a lot of people knew. You know Jessica Pegula if you're an American, I suppose. You know Taylor Fritz if you're an American. That helped towards the end, but Jack Draper, being in a semifinal, Karolina Mukova being in a semifinal. Probably weren't great for ratings. Not to mention you had the NFL starting that same night, so that makes it difficult to have a great score. But good U.S. Open. Tennis now kind of fight to the year end where players try to make the top 8 so you can play in the year end final and prove yourself a little bit and play in that big event. There's still a couple of Master 1000s events, one in Paris in November, one in China in October. So Davis Cup this coming weekend. So you also have Davis Cup matchups as well. Sinner was supposed to play for Italy, but he pulled out due to rest after winning the U.S. Open. Tennis, kind of like golf, they have their seasons, they have their majors, the big points, and then kind of goes from there. College football. The game of the weekend was Texas at Michigan. Both College Game Day and Fox Big Noon were both there. And Texas was a 7.5-point road favorite against the defending national champions. And it should have been higher. Michigan still has a solid defense, but their offense is dreadful. They don't have a quarterback. Their weapons are not as good as they were last year. Their defense isn't as good as it was last year either. And Texas is just a really good football team. Both lines, good skill position players. Quinn Ewers, more experienced, more confident. And Texas goes into Ann Arbor and wins 31-12. Quinn Ewers, 24 for 36, 246, 3 touchdowns. They just were on it. Matthew McConaughey, all right, at the stadium, at the big house. Michigan, Davis Warren threw for 204, 2 interceptions. They just were never in this game. Their best receiver, Colston Loveland, actually a tight end, fumbled. So 3 turnovers. Texas, it looked like a different team. Michigan's not a top 10 team, so they lose. Oklahoma State, number 16, survive against Arkansas, win 39-31 in double overtime. Fun game. Syracuse beats number 23, Georgia Tech, in an upset of sorts. 2 ACC schools. You got Kyle McCord. He was at Ohio State last year. They didn't want him back. They brought in Will Howard. He transfers to Syracuse. He's got 8 touchdowns in 2 games. The Orange are 2-0, and they look like a damn good team. Penn State, number 8, survives against Bowling Green. Bowling Green with the cover. Get laid at Georgia, 48-3 win. They do their thing. That's Georgia. UNLV, 72-14 win. Good for them. Boston College, 56-0. Cal, new ACC school, upsets Auburn. Then we get to Notre Dame. Number 5 ranked team in the nation. Just beat Texas A&M at Kyle Field. And you go, okay, we have our tough game week 1. Now we got Northern Illinois, who has paid $1.4 million to come play us. You're a massive 28.5-point favorite. And Northern Illinois beats Notre Dame. I shouldn't laugh, but it's nice to see it happen to a religious institution. I didn't say that. Yeah. Notre Dame only puts up 14 points. Riley Leonard, 2 interceptions, was dreadful in this game. Dreadful. Offensive line was horrible. He got sacked 4 times. Northern Illinois didn't have a great passing attack. They ran the ball well. They ran the ball almost 48 times as a team. They win the game on a walk-off field goal. And Notre Dame goes from the 5th ranked team in the country, and they will be dropping in the AP poll. They lost to Marshall as a over a 20-point favorite a couple years ago. I bet on Marshall to cover in that game. That's how I know that. But they've lost, it's like 3 times in the last 6 years as a double-digit favorite. 3 of 5 times that's happened with over 20-point favorite. It's happened to them that many times. Inexcusable. They have all this momentum. They have an easy schedule, which is true. And then they come up with this stinker. Just a deflate. They're not in a conference, so they're in a tough situation. Brutal loss. Good for Northern Illinois. Iowa State beats Iowa in Iowa. Woof. Utah wins. I love the Utes, but Cam Rising gets hurt again. That's a problem. We'll talk about that more later in the week. Ole Miss, big W. Let's see. The U 56-9 win over Florida A&M. They look good. Kansas, ranked team, loses to Illinois. Big win there. LSU, Tennessee crushes North Carolina State. Nebraska crushes Colorado. Coach Prime and them boys, woof, rough performance. Nebraska looks good. Dylan Raiola, their quarterback, is awesome. If you look at Nebraska's upcoming schedule, they got at Purdue this coming Saturday. They can win that game. They'll be a favorite on the road. Host Rutgers. They can do that. That's tough. Indiana. They have Ohio State on the 26th of October. I think they'll be undefeated for that game, although I do think Indiana is a tougher game. Tennessee, big W. They should be in the top 10 this week after beating North Carolina State. Oklahoma survives against Houston 16-12. Woof. Clemson crushes App State. Good for Dabo. I bet on App State, though. Oregon 37-34 win over Boise. Big cover for Boise State. Should have probably won the game, but a late comeback for Oregon. Dylan Gabriel, 18 for 21, 243, 2 touchdowns, and a rush touchdown in this game. Great performance. We're still trying to figure out who the good teams are in college football. For me, so far, Ohio State's a really good team. To me, Texas is a really good team. Georgia is a really good team. Ole Miss is pretty damn good. Alabama, until proven otherwise, is a good team. Oregon's not a great team. Oregon's got issues. There's a lot of teams that are still trying to find their way. As we gear up for week 3, we'll talk about those lines more. We'll do that on Friday. But we got a game coming up in just a little over an hour. On Wednesday's program, we're going to talk some baseball as well. We got a huge series this week, Royals-Yankees, as teams fight for positioning, and also just you have Aaron Judge playing Bobby Witt Jr. That's pretty special. Shohei Ohtani, if you're on the watch, 46 homers, 46 stolen bases as we chat right now. So we'll talk some baseball on Wednesday. We'll get into some other headlines across the sports world as well. So gear up for that. Fun recap show of the weekend. Always fun talking football. Appreciate the support as always. Enjoy your Monday night. We'll talk to you Wednesday. I'm Noah Warren. This is To The Point.